Today we're gonna check out one of the most American badass things I've ever seen in my life, and the Democrats are already trying to spin this into being embarrassed that Donald Trump embarrassed us on the national stage with President Zelenskyy. Can you believe how they treated a president of another nation? You're goddamn right, I can believe it. Zelensky's lucky I'm not the president. I'd have spit in that bitch ass's face. How about that? Want to know what
You
regular
are
Americans feel about?
angry.
Let's just
It's
check out. Let's
okay.
just get into it
I'm
because
not
I'm
angry.
that shit.
Except when you keep repeating
Zelenskyy, that's
you're
it.
angry.
I'll meet you at
And that
recess
shit's
at the
fucking
flagpole,
annoying.
bitch.
Like
I'll meet you at the flagpole, bro.
fucking
That's
gnat
how me
at
and
a
you meet with
barbecue.
Zelenskyy. It's on site.
Just bugging the fuck out of me.
He's up here talking about, oh, without our oceans, we'd be in trouble. If you better hope that's the worst thing you got to do. You better hope and pray that if you ever attack America, that the oceans, getting through the oceans was the hardest part. The oceans was the hardest part. Okay, brother, I'll see you at the beach.
You know, I gotta give it to you, Democrats. You guys will definitely like die on a hill, okay? Because I'm seeing people, oh my God, I'm embarrassed to be an American today. I can't believe what happened in the White House. It was revolting. It was disgusting. It was a shame. But you were proud to be an American when the president couldn't find his way off of a stage. You were proud to be an American when the vice president couldn't even put a sentence together. You had all these other moments to be embarrassed to be an American. Yet you choose the moment when somebody finally stands up and puts our country first, calls out the bullshit from this little embezzler, this little micro midget Oompa Loompa who comes over here demanding, stomping his little size 2 foot around. Now you're embarrassed to be an American? Please, spare me.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. So we got to follow up on the fallout that has happened as a result of probably one of the most historic moments in the Oval Office, which is the brawl, the shouting match that happened between President Trump, J.D. Vance, and Volodymyr Zelenskyy, the president of Ukraine, because Volodymyr Zelenskyy doesn't really want peace, okay? Or put it this way, he wants peace on unreasonable terms, right? Terms that will never happen. The President of the United States, President Trump, J.D. Vance, tried to explain to him that, listen, you're not going to get your way, right? It's either our way, aka what we want, what's in America's best interest, or no way. Because honestly, what's in America's best interest is what's in Ukraine's best interest.
Yes. Hello, President Trump. I am here to negotiate on behalf of Ukraine people. Um, for for us to be successful, you must give us you must give us $200 trillion of support, or we will have to continue war forever, in which you will have to then give us $175 trillion to defend ourselves. So give us 200 trillion and this war can end. Give us 175 trillion and then we can defend ourselves. Okay, this is a very good deal. I come here for a very good deal in good faith. Do you accept offer? If a single one of you make fun of my Russian accent, that's it. I'll nuke the whole channel. Don't you dare.
Because without America, hey, Ukraine wouldn't last very long in this war against Russia. And I really want to highlight J.D. Vance because I think that this exchange in the Oval Office may have won J.D. Vance the GOP primary in 2028 because the way that he defended the president, okay, the way that he had the president's back, was something that we haven't really seen before, right? Could you imagine if Mike Pence was in that situation? Do you think that Mike Pence would have defended President Trump the same way that J.D. Vance did? Actually, we know for a fact because Mike Pence could even defend President Trump from the Democrats, right? We know damn well he would never defend President Trump from Zelenskyy the same way that J.D. Vance did.
Now, I'm going to talk about it a little bit in this next pre-recorded clip. I recorded this clip previously to me saying this right now, so this is editing me. I apologize. I just wanted to make something very clear about this. Ukraine has only had a handful of presidents. Whenever Ukraine broke away from the Soviet Union in the early 90s, w- there's no way to there's no way to not say this. We have installed every president of Ukraine since its inception its of its sovereignty. The one time the election did not go the way the Americans wanted it to go, whenever they installed a Putin-backed president and he was elected, they annulled the election, redid it, and installed Poroshenko. And that's how they got Poroshenko. And now we have a theater kid that wears sweatpants in charge. Who do you think is installing these presidents in Ukraine? I'm just going to leave it there. Continue with my pre-recorded message. Eventually, one day, you'll get to deep dive into that video. But back in the early 90s, the Soviet Union broke apart. And the ex-Soviet nations split. Georgia, Ukraine, a couple others split apart from the old Soviet Union, Mother Russia. Whenever that happened, they all claimed their sovereignty, claimed that they were their own nations. At that point, U.S. aid, which you should know very, very much more about today, and on March 1st, 2025, you know a lot more about what they do now. Back in the early 90s, U.S. aid began to dump tens of billions of dollars into the ex-Soviet nations, Georgia, Ukraine, and all those other nations that broke apart from the old Soviet Union. Obviously, to have relationships with those countries, to have alliances with those countries, and of course to spread our propaganda and spread our American westernized life, which is the best life. So I understand trying to spread that to them. Unfortunately, when it comes with those kind of things, we like to have regime changes. We like to install the presidents that we want to have installed. And that's been happening in Ukraine since its inception, basically. I'm not going to get into that right now. Let's just move forward past that real quick. With that said, Zelenskyy is one of the people that we have installed. So he's a theater kid that wears sweatpants with Gucci belts on because he is absolutely taking so much of our taxpayer money and doing whatever he wants with it. They are not winning this war. They are not going to win this war. The only thing they can really do is hold Russia back, and that's pretty much it. And that's on the backs of our taxpayer money. Now, you would think that man would be very appreciative of that. What if I told you he came to the Oval Office to speak to the new administration, President Trump, and Vice President J.D. Vance, and he took that time to pull his pants down, spread his cheeks, and hit the Americans with an absolute screamer? I don't know. You want to see for yourself? Greg Foreman, the Black Conservative Perspective, he put together an amazing juxtaposition of how Trump's first term went with having a rhino as his VP versus having J.D. Vance as his VP on his second term. Look at the difference between these two interactions whenever we have a leader that has support behind him and a leader that's on an island by himself trying to do it on his own. Now, again, I don't love J.D. Vance. He comes from the technology sector, and I don't know where his real allegiances lie. But for now, I have to take it at face value because that's what it is. But check this out. Greg Foreman, Black Conservative Perspective. Links will be in the description. He's awesome. If you don't know who he is, but you're listening to me, I don't know how that happened, but check him out. Here we go. You ready to see? You ready to see what our tens of billions of tax dollars went to? They went to this guy, while our Americans that get devastated by natural disasters maybe could be eligible for $750. Oops, actually, you know what? You missed it. You didn't check all the boxes. You only get $350, and we'll give that to you in 4 years. Okay, you ready to see? Want to see how happy a guy is that get tens of billions of dollars in aid? Here we go.
Their lives. One thing I think we can agree on is we shouldn't shut down the government over a dispute. And you want to shut it down. You keep talking about it.
The last time, Chuck, you shut it down.
No.
And then you opened it up very quickly. And
20 times.
I don't want to do what you did.
20 times you have called for, I will shut down the government if I don't get my wool. None of us have said.
You want to know something?
You've said it.
Okay, you want to put that on my...
You've said it.
I'll take it.
Okay, good.
You know what I'll say? Yes. If we don't get what we want, one way or the other, whether it's through you, through a military, through anything you want to call, I will shut down the government.
Okay,
absolutely.
fair enough.
And I am proud, and I'll tell you what,
disagree.
I am proud to shut down the government for border security, Chuck, because the people of this country don't want criminals and people that have lots of problems and drugs pouring into our country.
I'm talking about the kind of diplomacy that's going to end the destruction of your country.
Yes, but if you are not strong...
Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come into the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media. Right now, you guys are going around and forcing conscripts to the front lines because you have manpower problems. You should be thanking the President for trying to bring an end to this conflict.
Have you ever been to Ukraine that you say what problems we have?
I have been to.
Come once.
I've actually watched and seen the stories, and I know what happens is you bring them on a propaganda tour, Mr. President. Do you disagree that you've had problems? Bringing people into your military?
We have problems.
And do you think that it's respectful to come to the Oval Office of the United States of America and attack the administration that is trying to prevent the destruction of your country?
A lot of questions. Let's start from the beginning.
Sure.
First of all, during the war, everybody has problems. Even you, but you have nice ocean and don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future. God bless.
You don't know that.
God bless.
You don't
God
know
bless.
that.
You will not have a war.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because
I'm
you're in no
answering on
position
this
to
question.
dictate that.
That's
Remember
exactly
this.
what
I'm not
You're
dictating.
in no position to dictate what we're going to feel. We're going to feel very
you will
good.
Feel influenced.
We're going to feel very good and very strong.
And now, whenever I said that was a threat, obviously I don't mean from Zelenskyy, 4'7", Zelenskyy himself, because he doesn't even have a military. His military is basically our military. But in general, that was a very, very threatening thing to say. So whenever I initially heard it, I thought to myself, "Wow, did he just make a threat that if we didn't have our precious little oceans, that we would be susceptible to attacks very easily, and we would then feel the pain?" And in fact, he said, "In the future, we will feel that pain." You know, that's a funny thing to say from someone that 9 out of 10 of their media companies are funded through us. Their entire military basically is funded through us. We were paying the first responders' salaries for Ukrainian ambulance, EMTs, fire departments. We were we were paying their salaries so they could go to work and do their job. And then you come to the Oval Office, and then you say you're lucky you have your precious oceans, or you'll see in the future when people come for you. How dare you come here and say that stuff to us? Regardless, take a look at that graph. I mean, that's why he says you're going to feel the influence. He says you're going to feel the influence because he knows that U.S. aid funds the journalism, funds the NGOs, funds the propaganda. What's stopping any of these places from just posting a poll that says that 87% of Americans are upset that Donald Trump is not continuing aid to Ukraine? You know, I'm exaggerating, of course, they can't just blatantly do that straight up, but if they were all in conjunction with each other and chose to do that, it's gonna be hard to debunk that kinda thing. Now, I'm not saying they're gonna do that, I'm just saying that let your imagination go wild. Anyway, let me stop rambling for you guys, let's get back to it. Greg at Black Conservative Perspective, the link for his stuff is that gonna be down in the description. That graph, all the things that you see, guys, in the description, there's gonna be links down there. Either way, that was the influence Zelenskyy was talking about. He's talking about the media's influence, the Democrat Party's influence, the bleeding heart influence of people saying you have to give them the money, you have to, or people are going to die. When it's the exact opposite. If we give them the money, they're going to use weapons to continue fighting and continue people dying. If we cut off aid and don't give them any more money and any more weapons to fight Russia with, the war has to end. And I do trust that Putin will stop because he's not going to allow to start a war with Trump. And it really is just that simple. I hate to sound ruthless like this. I'm after watching what I just watched in that Oval Office and watching the way Zelenskyy acted towards our leaders and the way that he basically pried my mouth open as an American taxpayer and shit down my throat. No thank you, no, just nothing. I've already said thank you, is what a narcissist says whenever they're being called out for not being grateful. They claim they always say thank you all the time, all those times that they said thank you. This is I'm in the camp now, unfortunately, and I don't mean this towards the Ukrainian people. I wish you all the best. I say cut all aid, all weapons, all military assistance to Ukraine. Tell Putin Putin, do not advance any farther into any more territories than you've already taken. The territories that you have taken and currently occupy, they are yours. That's the end of the story. Don't go any farther, and we won't have to get involved. Ukraine, you have suffered the losses of of those territories. You owe us this amount of money. Here's your bill. This is how long you have to start paying us. Otherwise, we'll come a knocking. The end of the story. War is over. And of course, if Zelenskyy does not agree to the terms and continues to fight Russia at those new border lines that are drawn, still trying to claim it, then no more aid to Ukraine. Russia will have to defend itself and destroy whatever is in that area to keep it clear. If the European nations, any NATO nations get involved, that will be at their own peril. We will not be involved in this international nonsense any longer. I'm done with it. Go ahead, Greg, continue.
Furthermore, we want to get paid back, okay? Because the Europeans apparently have a loan set up with Ukraine in which the Europeans are going to get paid back for helping out Ukraine, at least somewhat. But when it comes to the United States, Zelenskyy thinks that the money that we're giving him is free, right? They don't have to pay it back. And he's acting real funny, right? Zelenskyy's acting real funny when it comes to this minerals deal.
President Trump sent me there to, again, we were supposed to bring the Ukrainian people closer to the U.S. people, send a strong signal to Russian leadership that they had not only shared values, but now shared economic interest, and also have a strong signal for the American people that their tax dollars were actually going to work. Instead, President Zelenskyy and I had a very tough 45-minute meeting at a very loud decibel level, and I kept telling him, Mr. President, the purpose of this is to show the Russians there is no daylight between us. And at the end of the meeting, he said, well, I'm not signing this. And I said, at the end of the meeting, I said to him, what do you want to go out and tell the press? I said, because I don't want to go out and show the Russians that there's daylight in between us. And he said, well, I'm going to go out and say I'll sign it in Munich. Then he got to Munich, and he ran into Vice President Vance and Secretary Rubio, very different than Vice President Harris and Secretary Blinken, but he didn't sign the agreement. So finally, we were supposed to have the signing today. It was supposed to be a great day, and this is one of the biggest own goals in diplomatic history.
Yeah, so you see that, you heard that. Apparently Zelenskyy is being funny with the money, right? Because that's ultimately what this is about, okay? At least publicly, he has signaled his support for signing this minerals deal, okay, which would benefit the United States of America, right, economically. And then he gets to the White House, and all of a sudden, he wants to show his ass, right, which makes me think that this was planned. He planned to come to the White House and to show out in front of the liberal media and the Democrats and the neocons because he knew that they would support him over the United States of America, okay? That's how treasonous these people are.
Leave it to the Democrats, leave it to the progressives, the liberals, the European cucks all over the place. Leave it to them to see something, to see a moment of strength, and it's not even strength like being mean or being like a bully. It's like be compassionately listening to another nation's president that we've given hundreds of billions of dollars of aid to and all the things we've done for this country, and to have him come here and talk to our leaders this way because you know what, of all people for me to be fist bumping, Lindsey Graham, Greg Foreman on his thing immediately shows Lindsey Graham's response to how Trump and JD Vance dealt with Zelenskyy during this meeting. I don't know. I'm not even joking, not even a little bit. But when I watched that report the first time I watched it and I saw that meeting going down like that, and I saw the way that JD and Trump were talking to them, and the way that Zelenskyy was talking and the things he said, my jaw dropped. I was like, I know this. What did he just? What the hell did he just say? And then, you know, leave it to Democrats and these people. They want you to feel bad for strength. That's the way it always is, right? That you got to feel bad. Tell me in the comments if that's not a trend that you've noticed with these people, where strength is weakness masculinity is femininity. It's just like this whole inversion of everything. I'm not a religious person. I'm a spiritual person. So like, I don't want to turn people away by like saying, "Oh, I don't believe in the God that you believe in." I'm sorry, I'm rambling a little bit here, but I'm just saying, I am a very spiritual person, though. I do know that there is a creator or creators. I know that I was created by something. I can feel it deep down in my soul, if that's what it's called. I can tell, I can feel it. I know I have a relationship with my creator or creators. I don't know, whatever it is. And anyone that claims to know what it is, you're full of shit. So I can, you know what I mean? You definitely don't know for sure. So I can't believe you. Anyway, I'm on a tangent. Let me get off this tangent. Either way, Lindsey Graham got excited, and you should get excited whenever you see leaders acting like leaders and looking out for our best interest in America, not the interest of the military industrial complex. And that's what I saw during that meeting whenever they were standing up to Zelenskyy. That's what I saw. But then the media wants to tell you, "Oh, what a shame. The decorum. Oh, it was broken decorum. Oh, they should have been nice. They should have been rubbing his feet. He's a guest in our country, actually. Isn't it a shame what Trump?" Yeah, damn all that. What'd you think, Lindsay?
Complete, utter disaster. I've been to Ukraine 8 or 9 times since the war started. I understand the consequences of Putin's actions against Ukraine. I appreciate what the Ukrainian people have done. They fought like tigers. At the end of the day, I was hoping that this minerals deal, which would be transformative in the relationship, would go over well. I talked to Zelenskyy this morning. Don't take the bait. President Trump was in a very good mood last night. Somebody asked me, am I embarrassed about Trump? I have never been more proud of the president. I was very proud of J.D. Vance.
Now, it's not that we care so much about Lindsey Graham's opinion, but run that back one more time. Just to savor that for just 1 second. Because I got so mad when I read the liberal media reports and the European reports talking about how terrible Trump was during this meeting. I dude.
Somebody asked me, am I embarrassed about Trump? I have never been more proud of the president. I was very proud of J.D. Vance, standing up for our country. We want to be helpful. What I saw in the Oval Office was disrespectful, and I don't know if we can ever do business with Zelenskyy again. I think most Americans saw a guy that they would not want to go in business with. The way he handled the meeting, the way he confronted the president was just over the top. So I think the relationship between Ukraine and America is important, vitally important. But can Zelenskyy do a deal with the United States? After what I saw, I don't know.
Hey man, there we go. Lindsey Graham, one of those rare moments where I wholeheartedly agree with his assessment of exactly what that was. That is what this regular working class American felt like watching that back. When I watched Zelenskyy talking to JD and Trump that way, I was in shock. I was like, excuse him? I cannot believe he's speaking this way. I can't believe he's telling us that in the future that we're going to feel the pain whenever we don't have the oceans of our to protect us. What was that? Say that one more time. Be a little more clear about what you just said right there. It just is kind of strange. Either way, it is true. He's our puppet. Zelenskyy is our puppet. There's only been a few presidents in the history of Ukraine, and they've all pretty much been our guy. This guy got a little taste of that real deal money, and he does not want to let it go. Peace means the money gravy train is over for Zelenskyy. I hope that's that's what it is. Get rid of all the propaganda, get rid of all the nonsense, get rid of everything. When this war ends, the gravy train of boatloads, crates, pallets full of cash ends for Vladimir Zelenskyy. That's the truth of it. You really want to, if you want to put the square peg in the square hole, that's what it is.
Hey, and I'm convinced that probably the main reason why he was comfortable doing this is because he thought that he would have the backing of the liberal media, the Democrats, and all of the neocons. And as you just saw there, he doesn't really seem to have the backing of all the neocons. Like, for example, Lindsey Graham. In fact, the king of neocons, John Bolton, is actually upset with the other neocons who have decided to side with the United States of America over Ukraine and Zelenskyy. In fact, John Bolton went as far as to demand that Marco Rubio, who at least formerly was a neocon, and others resign in the Trump administration due to the fact they're supporting America's interests over Ukraine's interests. Take a look.
Yeah, this is really one of the most disgraceful performances that I've seen, and
Yeah, absolutely not. I will not allow John Bolton to speak whatsoever at all. I'm so sorry. I'm joking. He can't talk. He wants Marco Rubio and somebody else, I can't remember who, to resign because they're traitors to the country for dude, whatever. John Bolton is an absolute dumbass. Who cares what he said? Anyway, this was basically a predetermined like deal signing. JD Vance was there, President Trump was there, Zelenskyy was there for them to just have a signing of this deal that they made so they can move to the next step, present it to Putin, get everything done, and end this war. And then Zelenskyy basically is just like, "No, I don't wanna do that with all this media here and all this stuff, everyone prepared to come do this," and he shows his ass, and then the meeting's over and he's gone, and now Trump's like, "Yeah, I don't have time for you anymore, just forget about it, dude," and now he's begging to come back, but won't even apologize, say, "Oh, what?"
Mr. President, how long do you think it will take for Zelenskyy to want peace and be invited back to the White House?
Well, he says he wants it now. He wants to come back right now, but I can't do that.
Are you going to end?
Very much overplayed his hand. We're looking for peace. We're not looking for somebody that's going to sign up as strong power and then not make peace because they feel emboldened, and that's what I saw happening. I'm looking for peace. We're not looking to go into a 10-year war and play games. We want peace. And you saw what I saw today. This is a man that wants to get us signed up and keep fighting, and we're not doing that. Not for this country.
What does Zelenskyy need to do to restart talks with you?
He's got to say, I want to make peace. He doesn't have to stand there and say about Putin this, Putin that, all negative things. He's got to say, I want to make peace. I don't want to fight a war any longer. His people are dying. He doesn't have the cards, just so you understand it, okay? I can tell you.
Did you tell Zelenskyy to leave the White House?
I don't have to tell you that. Go ahead. I think you know the answer to that. What? Wait.
Do you trust Zelenskyy?
Look, I don't trust or distrust anybody. I just want to get a deal done. And if the deal happens, good. But you can't embolden somebody that does not have the cards, and all of a sudden that person says, oh, well, now I can keep fighting. We're not going to keep fighting. You're going to get the war done or let them go and see what happens. Let them fight it out.
That's exactly what I said. That's yeah, me and Trump were exactly the same. Yeah, man, Trump, he gets his ideas from me. He's actually one of my subscribers. Anyway, now Zelenskyy and that media and those big media companies that USAID owns and operates and pays for the journalists, now they're going to run stories to make you feel bad and make you feel like Trump's being a normal, ruthless Trump doesn't want to help people, just letting people die. When in reality, it's the complete opposite. It's Zelenskyy letting people die. It's Zelenskyy continuing the fight because he wants to continue to collect money. If the war ends, he doesn't get any more money because everything is just over. Not to mention, it'll be time for an election, and he's most likely going to lose. I can't imagine people voting for this person who owns so much. He owns so much more than when this first started. He happens to be doing very well financially for himself after all this. If you can even imagine, wow, the people of his country have suffered immensely. And for what? And for what? All right, let's finish this up. Zelensky is going to make us feel bad and tell us that this whole situation was bad for both sides. No, 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 no. My dude, this was just bad for you and your people.
Yeah, see, now you heard that, okay? Volodymyr Zelensky has some work to do, right? To get back in the good graces of President Trump and the administration if he wants our help. And I gotta tell you, he's not doing a good job at getting back in our good graces. So, I mean, who knows? He may just have to fight it out without our help and just, see how it goes, okay? Thoughts and prayers. Because in this Fox News interview that he did with Bret Baier after the fallout, he was asked by Bret Baier multiple times about whether or not he would issue an apology to the president, and he basically just won't really do it, at least not definitively. Take a look.
Just as the Democrats are globalist, the globalist got a globalist. Now, they like to run things by committee. Globalists like to do things by a team of people with analytics and algorithms that tell you the best possible answer for something. What happened was, after that meeting, his committee, Zelensky's team of committee, he's just an actor. He's just a puppet. He's a theater kid. They told him, "Oh, you came off very bad to the American people." This is what they're saying. What you need to do is you need to go on and do this next interview, and you need to come off so thankful and grateful and just kiss the ass of the American people and say, I've always been so grateful. I've always loved the American people and their culture and how they are and how wonderful they are and the heroes of the world. And they've been the heroes of the world through history. So they kiss our ass. So we get mad. Trump's approval drops and it makes them want to do something for them. That's how they do this. He's an actor. He is acting. Pay attention.
We're pleased to welcome back to Special Report Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. Mr. President, thank you for the time today, especially on this day, to continue to do this interview. President Trump said after your meeting that you disrespected him and the Vice President and all of America in the Oval Office. Do you think you did, and do you think you owe an apology to President Trump?
Thank you so much. First of all, thank you for the invitation for this dialogue, and good evening to all your country, to all Americans. I'm very thankful to Americans for all your support. You did a lot. I'm thankful to President Trump and to Congress bipartisan support. And I was always very thankful from all our people. You helped us a lot from the very beginning during 3 years of full-scale innovation. You helped us to survive. Anyway, we are strategic partners, and even in such tough dialogue, and I think we have to be very honest and we have to be very direct to understand each other, because it's very, for us, very necessary to President Trump, and I'm with all respect that he wants to finish this war, but nobody wants to finish more than we, because we in Ukraine, we are in this war.
So I'm not hearing from you, Mr. President, a thought that you owe the President an apology.
No, I respect the President and I respect American people, and if, I don't know, if I think that we have to be very open and very honest, and I'm not sure that we did something bad. I think maybe sometimes some things we have to discuss out of media, with all respect to democracy and to a free media. But there are things where we have to understand the position of Ukraine and Ukrainians, and I think that is the most important thing. Am I not right?
Leaving the White House today, President Trump said this.
He's looking to go on and fight. He wants to come back right now, but I can't do that.
What do you make of that? Do you want to continue fighting? Do you want peace? And if he had the opportunity to go back to the White House right now, would you do it?
No. First of all, we want peace. That's why I'm in the United States.
Again, let me try to button this video up now. It went a little bit long, I'm sorry, until more information becomes available. But we have to finish it up with that nasty woman. Oh, you're a nasty woman. Oh, you're nasty. She is so confused why people think Zelensky needs to apologize to Trump. I mean, he was supposed to be coming for a ceremonial signing of the mineral deal, so then Trump can take it to Putin, so we can finally get this done and over with. And then he turns it into a freaking whole charade, a charade. He turns the whole thing into a freaking charade. I cannot believe, like, and she's like, "What does he have to apologize for?" And we'll finish it up here. As soon as this absolute goblin finds out that the White House is demanding an apology from Zelensky, like, I've never seen the most attractive woman in the world that is unkissable. Like, I would never kiss this woman in a million. It looks like it would hurt me to kiss this. She's the sexiest, prettiest, most unkissable. I want to make a plaque and send that shit to her in the mail. Young lady, you are the sexiest, most unkissable person I've ever seen, and that's a strange thing to be good at. Anyway, let's button this up. She wants to ask questions all of a sudden.
What specifically do you want to see President Zelensky apologize for?
Well, apologize for turning this thing into the fiasco for him that it became. There was no need for him to go in there and become antagonistic. Look, this thing went off the rails. You were there, I believe. It went off the rails when he said, "Let me ask you a question," to the vice president. "What kind of diplomacy are you talking about?" Well, this is a serious thing. I mean, thousands of people have been killed, thousands. And he talks about all these horrible things that have happened to prisoners of war and children, all true, all bad. This is what we're dealing with here. It needs to come to an end. We are trying to bring it to an end. The way you bring it to an end is you get Russia to the table to talk. And he understands that attacking Putin, no matter how anyone may feel about him personally, forcing the president into a position where you're trying to goad him into attacking Putin, calling him names, maximalist demands about Russia having to pay for the reconstruction, all the sorts of things that you talk about in a negotiation. Well, when you start talking about that aggressively, and the president's a deal maker, he's made deals his entire life, you're not going to get people to the table. And so you start to perceive that maybe Zelensky doesn't want a peace deal. He says he does, but maybe he doesn't. And that active, open undermining of efforts to bring about peace is deeply frustrating for everyone who's been involved in communications with them leading up to today. And I think he should apologize for wasting our time for a meeting that was going to end the way it did.
You yourself have said previously that Putin cannot be trusted in negotiations. That was the point that President Zelensky was ultimately making during that conversation, is that there cannot be an agreement without security guarantees, because he was talking about all the ceasefire agreements before, or agreements that Putin has just blown past. I mean, do you still feel that way, that Putin cannot be trusted in these negotiations?
Well, I was there yesterday when the president said in front of the media that our approach is going to be trust but verify. President Trump's made deals his entire life. He's not going to get suckered into some deal that's not a real deal. We all understand this. We understand it on our end for certain. And so the goal here is to get to a place we have to explore whether peace is possible. I've said this repeatedly. I don't know. I think it is, based on what they've said so far, but we have to explore that. How else is this war going to end? I ask people, what is the European plan to end this war? I can tell you what one foreign minister told me, and I'm not going to say who it was, but I can tell you what one of them told me, and that is that the war goes on for another year, and at that point, Russia will feel so weakened that they'll beg for a peace. That's another year of killing, another year of dying, another year of destruction, and by the way, not a very realistic plan in my point of view. So if there's a chance of peace, even if it's a 1% chance, that needs to be explored, and that's what President Trump is trying to do here.
Exactly. You know, he's right. These are the leaders that I want to have in charge. You know, I don't know that they're always going to make the right decisions. I'm not sure that everything that they do, every time they bluff, if it's gonna work. I'm not sure if everything they do is gonna be perfect, but no one is perfect. But I prefer the transparency. I prefer the common sense. I prefer what's really going on. Now, Marco Rubio, I've never been a fan of Marco Rubio, but he just made a whole bunch of sense. You know, I just like I just want someone just to make sense, man. I'm so tired of being in my pajamas in my living room and turning on the TV or whatever screen you want to call it, and saying, "Damn, man, these people that are running everything, they're dumb as shit, man. I'm smarter than these people. I talk like an absolute gutter rat because you can judge me for where I was born all you want. I really don't care what you think about me or my intelligence, my intellect. I really could not care less what you think. Certain vocabulary words I choose to use and not to use, that's up to me. I don't care. I do whatever I got to do. I'm a successful person, and it's irrelevant to me how you feel about me. When I watch these people should be exponentially smarter than me. They should be so much better than me at everything. They're in charge of everything. They're getting paid so much money. They live in mansions. They do whatever they want. It makes me mad. And at least if they're going to be authentic, I can get down with that. At least if I'm smarter than at least if I'm smarter than Marco Rubio, at least he's being authentic and trying his best. And that's what I'm looking for. All right, I'm out of here. Can you believe Trump and JG just but they were man, that was like some tag team. That was some dude, they were man, what a timeline. What a time to be alive. Tell me in the comments. My audience of 0. Tell me what's up. All right, I'll see you guys soon.